And I am dumbfounded by the arrogance of some people, such as a YouTuber named paulsego, who seems to think that he is above all of this, that he's above everything that drives us as individuals. He's angry. He's pissed off. He's always pissed off at something, but it's always misdirected and fired off at the first thing you can see because he's just an emotion-driven person. And I've known this about him for a long time, but it just, the sheer arrogance of what he says, the arrogance of the people he associates with amazes me. They all think that they're above these people on Wall Street. Now, I have no love for these people on Wall Street, to be honest with you.
Oh, well, good. I'm glad, we're on the same page there.
Really don't. It's not that I don't like what they do. It's just that they're irrelevant to me. They're not the problem. They're not the solution. They're just people, just like you and me. They have created many problems because of the situation they're in, but they are a tool.
Okay, so this is a perfect example of the type of argumentation that just drives me right up a fucking wall. And you'll bump into this a lot if you have philosophical discussions online with people. You'll run into people like this who are so desperate to seem aloof and above, above people that make decisions either way, that they're constantly trying to give deference to both sides, and in doing so, they end up contradicting themselves, like left and fucking right. In this, 15 seconds, the last 15 seconds of what you said, you're like, trust me, I have no idea, I have no love for these people on Wall Street, okay? Trust me there, I don't. But it's not that it's not that I dislike them. It's that they're irrelevant to me. They're people. They're just like you and me, Paul. They're just like you and me. They're not the problem, and they're not the solution, but they, come a little closer. You see, they're not the problem. They just create the problem with their shitty decisions. You see what I'm saying? What the... Okay, so now we're back at square one. Thank you for saying nothing. Thank you for taking a few minutes at the beginning of this video to say absolutely nothing. They're not the problem, but they create... That's something that you said that and went back and watched this video and you were like, oh, I'm definitely uploading this fucking video. This one's going up. Oh, that's amazing. They're not the problem. They just create the problem. Oh, Sharpie, you're brilliant.
More specifically, the corporations they work for are a tool. They're a profit-maximizing institution, as all corporations and businesses are. That's all they are, is a tool. They come about naturally. There's nothing that creates them. They're not driven by greed. They're actually driven by a need to use a great number of people and minds to accomplish a task.
Okay, so much to go over in this. Once again, just all over the goddamn place. I love the circular logic. I love the double speak. I love that. It's not corporations. They're not driven by greed. Well, first of all, let's talk. Corporations come about naturally. Nothing created them. They're just there. Magic. Where can I go buy a packet of corporation seeds? Because I'd like to grow a garden in my backyard. What do you mean they come about naturally? Sharpie, corporations are made by people. And he says, well, they don't exist. It's not greed. They're not greedy. They're profit maximizing institutions. That's perfect. Can I put a copyright symbol on that one? Big multinational corporations that make shitty decisions that lead to the almost lead to the collapse of the global economy. They extract trillions of dollars from the global economy and then expect a bailout when their companies fail. They're not greedy. They're just profit maximizing institutions. What the fuck? Are you gonna say something? In this entire video, are you gonna say one thing? And then And then he goes on to say, and it's not that the people aren't the problem. They're just cogs in this machine. They're just part of the tool. They don't do what they do out of greed. They do what they do because they want to use the maximum amount of people to create the most efficient environment possible. Yeah, I'm sure that's what's on their minds. I'm sure the people sitting at the top of this pyramid, right? The people raking in more money than you and I can even fucking think about are doing it. They're like, I'm not doing this to accumulate wealth. I'm doing this to use the appropriate amount of people in mind to make a maximum efficiency situation. What? Like, once again, are you going to say something, Sharpie? I'm waiting. I'm honestly waiting. Maybe you'll say something now.
It's not the individual's fault, as Paul's ego would seem to think. It's not their fault that they're doing their job. It's not their fault that they're making decisions that hurt the rest of us, because that's not their concern. Their concern is bringing home $1. Their concern is continuing their career. Their concern is keeping their house. Just as it is yours, Paul, as you pointed out early in your video. You don't want to go to this march. You don't even want to do what you believe in because you want to keep your house. You want to keep your job. You're no better than these people on Wall Street.
Okay. You really think they're concerned with keeping their houses, huh? Okay, so I think you and I guess we've got to have a talk about wealth here for a minute. I'm going to make some assumptions about you, and you feel free to correct me, Sharpie. Not that it's going to matter. See, I'm a normal guy. I work an average job, not the greatest job in the world, but it pays my bills. I've got a place to live. I've got a little car. Every once in a while, I'm able to get out and maybe, go to the beach for the day or something. I've got a little bit of disposable income. And I'm assuming you're kind of in that same zone. And when guys like you and me think about striking it rich, maybe you don't, but for me, I always think like, man, you know what would be awesome? It'd be awesome if I won the lottery, won $3 or $4 million. I could pay off my house. I could pay off my home equity loan. I could pay off all my credit cards and any outstanding debt I might have. And then I could go and I could buy my mom and stepdad those little his and her motorcycles that they've been talking about forever. They want to tool up and down the coast after they retire. I could get them those, and I could put my little niece and nephew through college. And then after I was done with all of that, I could just retire. I could just quit my job and just be real frugal with my money, and I could live the rest of my life. That'd be sweet. That'd be the sweet life. $3 or $4 million would be a life-changing sum of money for a guy like me or a guy like you, Sharpie. The people that I'm talking about, the top 1% that I addressed in my last video and that I'm addressing in this video, couldn't give a fuck less about $3 or $4 million. They make and lose that multiple times over the course of a day and probably don't even know it. These people are not doing what they do to survive. So you draw what I like to call the Sharpie line of equivalence. You've done it a couple other times here. You draw a line of equivalence between me and the people on Wall Street because I won't go to the protest because I don't want to lose my job. And that's exactly why the rich keep getting richer, because they don't want to lose their jobs and they don't want to lose their homes. If you think for a fucking second that any of the people that I'm talking about, any of these heads of these multinational companies and these big Wall Street investment bankers are concerned for a second about ever losing their fucking home, you're just as stupid as I think you are, Sharpie. These people, their survival in that when it comes to monetary issues is fucking assured. They don't have to worry about losing their homes. In fact, they could quit their jobs today. They could say, you know what, fuck this place, fuck you, and fuck you, I don't work here anymore. They could leave their fucking office, walk right out the front doors of Merrill Lynch or Citigroup, and then go directly to the bank, take all of their money out of any interest-bearing accounts, and put that into a non-interest-bearing checking account or something, and just live the rest of their lives. They wouldn't even have to call a family meeting. They wouldn't even have to be like, kids, honey, come in here, we gotta have a family meeting. Crazy day at the office today. Daddy quit his job. And so things are going to be tight around here. We're going to have to stop eating out so much. We're going to have to start going to the grocery store and cooking meals here at home because we're not going to be able to afford. They wouldn't even have to think about it. They could live their current lifestyle for the rest of their natural lives and still have a fucking wad of money to pass on to their kids and their grandkids. They're not doing what they're doing to survive like you and I are, Sharpie. You know, I have no love for getting up in the fucking morning to go work. You know, oh, what a beautiful morning. I think I'd like to go work 8 or 9 hours in exchange for, you know, a little more money than it takes to get me by. That sounds great. Okay? I go to my job every day because I have to in order to survive, in order to keep some sort of manageable life in the culture that I live in. That's not why these people go to work. That's not why they're constantly seeking to expand their influence in government. That's not why they're constantly extracting trillion upon trillion upon trillions of dollars from the global economy. They don't do that to survive. Their survival is assured. They do it because they're predators. They do it because they can't fucking help themselves. Their hand is in the cookie jar, and they cannot help but just, not just take one cookie out. They gotta go elbow deep in that motherfucker. They're going for the crumbs at the bottom of the goddamn cookie jar. Not because they're hungry, not because they even want cookies anymore, but because they fucking can, because it's there. And you want to draw a line of equivalence between guys like you and me and them? I'm sorry, Sharpie. I don't see it. Maybe you need to get a new Sharpie marker and draw that line. Maybe the one that you've got is out of ink, because I don't see that fucking line. I got one more clip from you, bro.
First off, let's take care of the police issue. You seem to be so pissed at these police officers. They're just terrible people in your eyes. Well, guess what? They're just like you.
Here's another Sharpie line of equivalence. So I'm just like a cop, huh, Sharpie? Specifically, I'm just like the type of cops that I was talking about in that video, that indiscriminately beat and spray chemicals all over and arrest for no reason peaceful protesters who are simply exercising their constitutionally protected right to freedom of assembly. So I'm just like one of those cops. Please tell me how.
You could be wearing a riot shield, and of course you're going to say, no, my morals would never do that. Then why aren't you on Wall Street, Paul? Why are you driven by incentives? You expect them to give up their jobs. You expect them to just walk away, throw down their shield. They're told to do what they're supposed to do. They're ordered to do what they're supposed to do, and I'm sure you'll have a problem with that, but guess what? That's how the world works. They have families, they have homes, they have problems. And you know what? They're pissed at these protesters because they have to be out there risking themselves. They have to be out there getting rocks thrown at them because they're doing their job.
I don't even know where to start with this bullshit. So let's take a look at this new Sharpie line of equivalence that you've drawn. So, not quitting your job so that you can attend a protest is the equivalent of just blindly doing your job and beating the shit out of people because you were told to, in your mind. Maybe you're that type of guy, Sharpie. Maybe you're the type of guy that would keep his job no matter what. Maybe that's your incentive. Maybe if your boss called you into his office tomorrow and was like, hey, Sharpie, suck my motherfucking dick, you'd hit your knees and go, yes, sir. How do you like it? 2 hands twisted? Glurple, glurple. You know what? I have a line, Sharpie. I have a line. See, I've been employed since I was 15 years old. You know, on and off. There are little spots of unemployment, but for the most part, 15 to 31, I've always had a job. And I have never once had a job that required me to hurt another person overtly. I've never once had another job that required me to tackle a person, to drag a person by their fucking hair across the street, to spray chemical mace in a person's face for no good fucking reason, to lock a person in a van, to arrest people en masse for no fucking reason. I've never had a job that required me to do anything even approaching that. And if my boss at the current job that I work called me on my way into work tomorrow and said, hey, Paul, I need you to come into my office. We need to talk. And I went in there and he said, look, you know what you've been doing, Paul? You're not going to do that anymore. You're not going to do that anymore. Your job is now, there's a protest going on down the road. Your job is now, you're going to go down there. and you're going to take these guys with you, and you're going to beat the ever-loving shit out of the people that are protesting down the road. You're going to drag them through the street. You're going to hose them down with chemicals. You're going to fire less than lethal projectiles at them. You're going to arrest them for no reason. That's now your job. I would quit that job. I would not do that. I don't do everything that I'm told. See, I have the ability to make a value judgment on that. I would be willing to put myself in economic hardship if I was asked to do a job like that. Okay? Maybe you've never met a person that's not willing to fall to their knees and suck dick if they're asked to. Hi, I'm proud to meet you. My name's Paul. How are you? I have a line, Sharpie. Okay? I don't want to give up my job because it's a good job. It's a decent job. And in this economy, I don't know if I'll be able to find another one. I'm not proud of the fact that I'm not at the Occupy Wall Street protests. I'm not proud of the fact that I haven't been there since day one. But it's a decision I had to make. I made a value judgment. Okay? I have a line. And if I was asked to cross that line, I'm walking on a fucking job. I don't care. I'll put myself in economic hardship. So we do exist. I don't know what to tell you, Sharpie. I think you need to go back to the drawing board. I think that's really where we stand on this. I don't know that you even know what kind of argument you're making. I don't know that you even fully understand what it is that you're trying to do. In fact, if you'll permit me to make a sweeping assumption about you, I think you're a pseudo-intellectual who likes the sound of his own voice. I think you like to talk to people. I think you like to take stands on things that you couldn't hope to have the balls to take a stand on. I think you'd like to float between positions. I think it makes you feel superior. And I'm sorry to fill you in on the fact that you're not. Everybody else, peace.